Hello, hello. Another day together. I'm glad that you're here with me. And today we are going to continue our Bible study that we have been going through for a few weeks now, for a few months, um, called Debate of Satan. My name is Perla Negroni, and we have been studying how is it that the offense um, being fooled by the enemy into become offended by anything and everything is his bait, is the way to have us with animosity between one another and being fighting and being upset with one another. um, it's interesting how we can take to offense anything and everything. We can take to offense that someone doesn't say God bless you at church, and maybe the person was passing by and have things on their minds and they were in a rush, or um, they have some concerns. And I don't know if you have noticed this um, could happen. It had happened to me. I don't know if it happened to you, that you pass by someone and you saw them but you didn't. And the best way will be at the store, for example. You look at someone but you were not looking. Like, you look, but if someone say, oh, you saw someone, someone, where? Did you notice the blouse or whatever? No, because your mind was controlling at that moment what your eyes were looking at. So you look, but you didn't process. And when that happened, you passed by the person, you didn't say God bless you or hello if you saw it in the mall or something. And now the person is offended because, yeah, you look at them and you didn't say hello. Well, or you didn't say God bless you. And how she can be calling herself my sister in Christ. But what is happening is the person was not really paying attention. It happens. It happens. It happened to me so often that I am not counting, because I will, if I can get money every time this happened to me, I will certainly be at least rich. So if this never, ever, ever, ever happened to you, you're amazing. And maybe you should work for the Secret Service or for, I don't know, some company, something, because you're great. But the truth is, we don't get to see always the person when we look. We don't get to notice when someone say God bless you, or when someone said how are you doing. We don't get to hear it sometimes. Let's drop this. You want to get somebody's attention, make sure you get the person's attention. That's simple. Okay, don't assume. um, People get offended because, oh, I sent a message and I know by now he probably saw the message and didn't answer. Or I know that the person saw the message. I can see it here. It says that the person saw the message. Let me tell you something that happened to me often. I have an application called Voxer that I use to communicate with family members and friends. And this application will let you know when the person heard the message or saw the message, if it was like a text. Well, to be told, that is not the case. I don't always get to um, hear the message or see the messages, because the application have a glitch that every now and then it will play the messages on its own without me playing it. And I can be walking into my room and a message is playing and I'm like, what? It had happened. So I don't get to hear the message because it played and I wasn't in the room next to the phone. Same thing with text messages, same thing with Messenger, same thing with any electronic. Why? Because they can have glitches and that happen. The messages will play and you will think, or it will look like somebody read and you will think they read it and be surprised they didn't. Another thing that happened to me and probably happened to other people is grandbabies or children if you have small kids. They take your phone and they press, okay, or they listen, they press buttons. Next thing you know, they play your messages, they play to look at your, text, and then the sender think that you saw the messages, and no, your grandbabies did, your children did, but they didn't say anything, and now you didn't get to see that message, or you didn't get to hear that voicemail. So what I'm trying to say is, let's stop being offended about things like that. The best thing that the Lord created is one of the best things that the Lord created is communication. So if you feel that someone is avoiding you, ask, what is the worst that could happen? That the person is upset now because you thought that they were avoiding you? Well, if you really know the person and you know that's not their character, that's not how they are, then yeah, I can see they're being not necessarily offended, but like, wow, I can't believe that you know me and you think that I'm gonna be doing that. You know I'm not like that. See, the person might feel, because I'm like that. Like, you know me and you think I'm gonna be doing that? That's not how I operate, It's like, that's not my character. It's like when I see people also talking about God, God that is, he just want to come and destroy you. That is so like, you don't know God. That's not in his character. He get upset and his wrath comes. I mean, yes, it is true that he can punish or he can give us consequences of our actions, but it's not in his character to be doing that all the time. That's not who he is. He's a God of love, and what he wants is to redeem humanity. What he wants is to save us. What he wants is for us to have second chances. So that is who he is. So same, like if you know the character of the person, then you know that the person, that's not what the person will do, that's not how the person will talk. Then don't be offended and don't allow the enemy to convince you, oh, this is how she is or how she, you know how he is or you know how she is. You know that's not in that character. Therefore, don't allow the enemy to convince you, okay? And your thoughts to convince you and your feelings to go all over the place. Because that's the bait of Satan, for you to be offended, for me to be offended. The next thing is, if you talk to the person and indeed, yeah, the person was trying to avoid you, because yes, it is in that particular person's character, or maybe, you don't know the person that well, and yeah, they are like that. It's up to the person to be honest and say, yes, I was because of this and this and this, or lie and say, no, I don't know what you're talking about. But at least you get it off your system. You give the person the benefit of the doubt and let it go. The problem that we have often is that it's easier to assume. It's easier to jump into conclusions. And one thing that I know a lot of people do is they they like to, um, not that they like, because they don't realize it. They don't realize it. But some people, they don't realize it, and they go through life boycott, boy, doing a boycott to themselves. Why? I don't know. I never get that. But some people, they go through life doing that. Like, they cannot have relationships, they cannot have friends because they mess it up constantly. They cannot have healthy relationships or communications because somehow they they look for reasons to fight, or they look for reasons to create arguments or animosity, and then say, see, I cannot talk to you, or see, I cannot trust you, or see, we can communicate. And they don't realize that they are the ones that they are the ones that create those situations over and over. They are the ones that cannot communicate, not the other person, but they are the ones that have the issue, because they get offended easily, or they get work easily, or they get upset easily. Nobody is responsible. Yes, somebody can get in your nerves. Yes, somebody can upset you or upset me, but nobody is responsible on my reaction or your reaction, but only ourselves. I can be upset, but I choose to lose my temper, to raise my voice, to yell, to insult, to whatever. I can be upset because my flesh will love to be upset. That's anybody's flesh. That's the reality. Or or I I'm sorry. I can be upset and then lose it, or I can be upset and just keep it cool, because I'm not gonna let my flesh take the best of me. And then the next question I will need to ask myself is why I am so upset. I mean, does what the person did or say was that upsetting? Or is it the enemy once more throwing the bait and I'm biting? And if that is the case, then I gotta work on that. I really need to work on not biting on the bait of Satan over and over and over. Because, come on, there's no way that someone is constantly after you. That anything they say, that anything they do is because they purposely want to offend you, and they purposely want, unless it's like your enemy. But otherwise, I don't see why. I don't see why we need to be feeling that some that you need to be in some sort of bickering with someone all the time, so, or constantly. So I wanted to mention this because we don't realize that we might be saying, this is nice what you are talking about, the bait of Satan, this and this, and the offense, blah blah blah, but this is not for me. I'm not like that. I don't get offended, I don't get upset, that's not me. That's not my person. This is not working today. I don't know why this camera is doing this, but it's playing tricks on me. Anyway, you or I could be saying that, oh, I'm, I hear you, but this class is not for me because I don't get offended easily. That's not me. Be surprised that maybe what you think is not enough, what you have convinced yourself is not offending you, it is offending you. And the way you're reacting about certain people, certain actions, or certain words is because you're offended and you haven't even realized it. well, then you are biting on the bait of Satan. And we all get offended by things that we shouldn't. And I have mentioned from the beginning that this is not about I am being offended, a legit thing, you know, it's legit. I'm being offended because it was an offense here in Rome, in Italy, in Africa, in Puerto Rico, no matter where, and no matter what race, what nationality, whatever, this is something that will be offensive. Versus unoffended, but not everybody's offended. Anything that could be offensive to one person but not to somebody else, then it's a question mark if that is a legit offense or not. And so we need to be careful. We need to be careful. If somebody's cursing next to me, because I don't curse, I could take offense to the fact that the person is cursing, or I can just say those words are offensive in the fact that I don't like them and they're ugly. But that person is not me. That person thinks differently, and they probably don't see a problem with talking like that. So if I don't have a choice and I need to stay there, let me just focus on something else. I'll let them be. That's not me using that language. If I can remove myself from the picture, then I remove myself from the picture. Because guess what? If I'm speaking about Christ, surprise, surprise, somebody can think that is offensive. And it's not legit. It's not legit because it's just that person or that particular mindset that feel is offensive versus the cursing that most countries, most places, and most people will have to admit that yes, it is offensive. But you see what I'm doing here? Even the things that are offensive, we still have a choice. We still have a choice, okay? So we need to be careful. We just need to be careful and not allow animosity and not allow that fellowship will be affected because of that. Let's continue with chapter 5. We're trying to complete for chapter 5 today. We're gonna, by today, well, not today. Realistically, not today, but probably in the next 2 videos. This one and one more, and we finish with chapter 5. Let's try. Okay, the planted flourish. That is another part. We've been talking about David and how he was offended. I mean, Saul was offended and was after him. And we find that, and we have heard testimony or story of people in church being offended about things that they shouldn't, especially in church. What wonderful place to approach offenses in a different way, yet we fail. Okay, the Bible says in Psalm 92:13, Psalm 92:13, those who are planted in the house of the Lord shall flourish in the courts of our God. And so you realize that it's saying those who flourish are planted. It doesn't say the other way around. So what happens to a plant if you transplant it every 3 weeks? Okay, you plant something, right? And flourish. And now you want to plant it really good. Like you want to settle that plant. I mean, it's like, this is it. It's flourishing. Well, in Puerto Rico we call it prendió. Está prendiendo, está floreciendo. And so we are like, okay. What happened if we start moving that plant now every 3 weeks? Every 3 weeks we move it, we replant it. Well, we know that the root system is going to be damaged. It's not going to be able to develop correctly, and is not going to blossom or prosper with time. Your plant most likely will die because it's going to go into a shock. It's going to be like, what are you doing to me? And next thing you know, the plant is dead. Well, many people do that. Many people go from church to church, ministry team to ministry team, trying to develop their ministry or their way or themselves. And what they don't know is you need to be put somewhere, planted somewhere, right? You're put there, you start flourishing. Now be planted, stay put, so you can blossom, so you can develop. And a lot of people miss that. God put them in a place and they're probably not recognized or encouraged as they are seeking to be, and now they're offended. And so if they don't agree with something that is done, now they offend even more, and they like, you know what, I'm leaving. I cannot blossom here. But what they don't see is you have not planted yourself. You have not made a decision. The Lord put me here, and I might not be recognized right now or encouraged right now, but what I need to do is to plant myself and see what happens. And then they decide to start putting blame. It's the leadership, it's so and so, but they are blind to anything on their own character or their flaws, and they don't realize that God wanted them to be refined, to be much mature, and so the only way to accomplish that is going under some pressure. And so the pressure they were going of not being recognized or not being encouraged the way they felt they needed was part of their maturity and creating character in order to then blossom to what the Lord wanted them to blossom. You know, you have heard how the butterfly have to encounter that cocoon thing. I mean, how that worm goes to all this pressure in their skin to then get those wings, give the wings the strength that those wings need to fly, and to open it for them and not allowing it to come on its own, and for those wings to suffer that pressure, their wings become weak, and then they cannot fly properly. So you see, sometimes it's necessary for you to fly. You need to go under pressure, and you need to go under some sort of test to refine you and to make you and me blossom as the Lord is expecting us to blossom. So we got to learn that God put the trees and the plants and butterflies out there to teach us lessons also, you know. And so we need to start learning those lessons and to see that if we want to give fruit, if we want to blossom, if we want to see ourselves, you know, going to where we need to go, one of the things we need to do is to allow those moments of difficulty in our lives, not being recognized, not being encouraged at the moment, could be a plan in God's will to allow us to mature in one particular area. Let's learn from then. Plants and fruits, they have to face rainstorm, hot sun, wind. If those plants and trees could talk, if the butterflies could talk, I mean, they probably gonna say, get me out of here. Don't let me stay here and face all this. If the butterfly could talk, probably would say, oh, please, open the cocoon for me. I mean, they don't understand that all that heat or wind, they need it because it makes them stronger. The gardener, if they could listen and then say, okay, I'm gonna move you, or I'm gonna help the butterfly, instead gonna harm them. And it is important that the trees and the plants face all these elements that will make them develop. Imagine, no, I'm offended by the sun. Take it away from me. They need the sun. I'm offended by this rainstorm. They need the rainstorm. So you see, you and I need sun. You and I need rainstorm in our lives, whatever situations we face, because they allow us to have deeper roots. They allow us to mature, to grow. Adversity, if we face it with the right attitude, can work for our good. They can actually be the source of an amazing stability. Harshness in the elements that surround us can actually cause us and the trees and the plants and to seek another source of life. Situations allow us to dark situations, difficult situations, offenses. What they do for us, if we let them, is mold us, make us stronger, make us wiser, make us develop a thick skin for the right things. Some people develop thick skin against one another, but you know what we need to develop thick skin for? Really thick skin? For offenses and for difficult situations that we can face without complaining, we can face without being upset. And so one thing that I wanted to stop, and I'm going to continue on the next video next time. One thing that we need to take from today video is not everything is an offense. There are some things that we see as offense and probably are a legit offense. Still, we can handle them differently. And many offenses and many difficult situations are needed. You need them and I need them because they allow us to grow, mature, flourish. They allow us to learn to be stronger and to be more flexible as well. Difficult winds allow the trees to develop some sort of flexibility without breaking. Difficult situations do exactly the same thing for us. But if we are not going to allow it, if we are going to remove ourselves, this is why I'm removing the people that create too much drama. I'm removing myself from drama and difficult situations because I need peace. Is a big mistake. Because when you do that, you are removing yourself from the rainstorm, you are removing yourself from the sun, you are removing yourself from anything that is actually allowing you to develop deep roots, develop character, develop maturity, and you will go through life being weak, not being a person that can handle anything, being judgmental, being critical of everything and everybody. You will never be able, I will never develop to this give others the benefit of the doubt thing. You will not see the best on people. You will focus, and I will focus. We will be focusing on the worst on people instead of the best. And that's not what the Lord wants. So today I encourage you to fight with all your might. Fight with all your might. I like that. The offenses, fight the feeling of offense, speak to yourself. If someone didn't answer your God bless you, then say it again. Approach the person, give them a hug. Um, or just ask them, how are you doing today? Forget, you say God bless you, they didn't answer. Good morning, they didn't answer. Then say aloud and put yourself in their face and say, how are you doing today? Are you doing okay? Anything I can do for you? Or just say, oh, you know what? This and this happened to me. Just went into a conversation with the person. You'll be surprised. The person might look at you, oh, hi. And you were like, I was talking to you like for 15 minutes already. Well, they were not listening. Do what you need to do to get their attention. Okay? Give always the benefit of the doubt. Stop being offended about silly things. The person didn't notice your dress, your shoes. They didn't notice how beautiful you sang the song. They couldn't notice how wonderful sermon or how delicious the food was that you cook, or how clean the house is, and you did a whole cleaning top to bottom, and your husband didn't acknowledge it, or your children didn't even care and came to mess it up immediately. Do not assume people are being mean to you on purpose, or they're not being mindful, or they're not being grateful, or they're not being whatever. Don't assume. People can be having their own thoughts and their own problems and their own situations, okay, going on, and they're not realizing things. Yeah, you work really hard to clean that house, and they come and mess it up in 2 seconds, not even realizing how clean it was and how good smell. Then bring it to their attention. I worked really hard, and the house was really clean, and you guys are messing it up. So right now I will appreciate if you pick that up, and you pick that up. So you point at them, I did this that you didn't notice. That's okay. I'm bringing it to your attention, and now I want you to pick up what you put down. Communication is not always, you didn't notice how I cleaned. You didn't notice how I said, God bless you. You didn't notice how wonderful my sermon was, or how delicious the food that I cooked. Or you didn't notice how nice my hair and nails are done. That is not communication. That is, you didn't notice. You, bad you, terrible you. Is sometimes communicating what the issue really is, which is, I did my hair, do you like it? Or I did my hair, I did my nails, I want you to tell me, how do you think of it? You don't notice is not the issue. You might say, yeah, that's the issue, that you didn't notice. No, because if it was messy, you will not want it to the person to notice. So what the issue is, you did it, and you want something to be said about it. So ask, how does my hair look? Because I want to know, what do you think? How do my nail? How was the food? Because I want to know if you like it, how good it was. I think it was delicious. How did you like my sermon? What do you think of what I preach? What part of the sermon today spoke to you? The sermon that I preach. Something like that. Did you like how I cleaned the house? Or what do you think of how nice the house looked today? Be direct. Hey, instead of I say God bless you, you didn't answer, it's like, hey, I was missing you this week, whatever. Because originally, why did you say the question that we need to ask, and I'm finishing, what did you say good morning, or God bless you, or how are you doing to begin with? Because you were being polite, or you were honestly saying hello to this person, God bless you, because you wanted to bless this person? If that is it, then be meant it. Instead of waiting for the response, just go to them straight and said, I missed you this week. Or, how did you, if it's somebody that you saw the night before, well, how did you sleep tonight? Just make conversation and make that God bless you, good morning, how are you doing, that you started with meaningful, okay? Because if it was just being polite or being nice, then go about your life. Why do you need an answer? Go about your life. But if you were doing it because you really care for the person, then show it. Make a conversation. So, how are you? Or how did you sleep? Or, hey, today I'm doing this. Where do you go? Because we have this notion that we gotta initiate a conversation with someone with, how are you? God bless you. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. You can start there, or you can start straight. Hey, I wanted to go here. Started with a hey. Started with whatever way you want to. But if the person was not responsive or acknowledged you, and it's important to you, then make it, happen. Not by hey, I say hello, because that is tacky. I'm sorry. Just make it meaningful. Go and say, start a conversation. You'll be surprised the person is, hey, God bless you. Or please, let's be adults. Do not allow the enemy to create animosity over simple things. We are allowing it. We, starting with me, we are allowing the enemy to create animosity over simple things that could be solved if we communicate properly. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. And if you say it back, it's fine. If you don't, it's fine. If you watch the video, it's fine. If you don't watch it, it's fine. But I'm going to preach. I'm going to teach what the Word of God says, because I know there's someone out there that needs to hear it. And I need to hear it. And every time that I talk about something or I preach about something, it talks to me first. So God bless you, and I'll see you next time.